Good afternoon and welcome to another week. Wasn't that bowerbird footage you just saw really excellent? As you may or may not know, this is the type of bird which is native to Australia and I think other parts of this part of Asia. Anyway, that is very attractive to things that are blue in colour. I remember watching David Attenborough documentaries where they found the bower that the bowerbirds make and filmed all the little bits of blue, usually junk, that the bird had collected. What that one seemed to have in its beak was a bottle top. I don't know where it got it from. We're not in the habit of throwing bottle tops around on the ground. So hopefully it didn't find it on our property. Nevertheless, it's behaviour that you very rarely see, actually, because it tends to happen in its bower. What it was doing was chasing a female with this bottle top in its mouth, trying to grab her interest. Anyway, so I'm back home now. You will have left me last week in town, and I'm pleased to say the exciting thing that I was hoping to show you, I know is now done. I'm just waiting for it to arrive in the post before I can show you, which may or may not happen in this week's vlog. You may have to wait till next week. We'll see. But I did want to quickly show you something I picked up whilst I was there, which is this. I don't know if that's appearing backwards to you. Anyway, this is a moisture meter, a new moisture meter I got for measuring the moisture in our wood. Obviously we already have one, but it's sort of approaching the end of its life. It's getting a bit dodgy and I'm not entirely sure I can trust what it's telling me. What I liked about this one is that it's got 4 different settings for different types of wood. So it seems to be pretty Australian specific. So what we've got here is it sort of goes from the hardest woods down to softer woods, so more like the European woods like pine, but up here are all different types of box and gums. So I'm hoping that not only is that going to work better because it's newer, but also it'll be more accurate because I can set it to the type of wood that I'm measuring more accurately. So I was very pleased with that. If this is coming up backwards, then that says fire up. And it cost me $50, which is about £25, which I didn't think was exorbitant, so I went ahead and did that. And also, what I was doing this morning is, as I mentioned in last week's video, one of the things I was picking up was some more manure from Bunnings. So I have now finished my autumn-winter manuring of my formal garden, which is just over there. So that's putting a nice layer of mulch around all of the plants that require it, and then I also sprinkle a layer on the lawns. And I do this every autumn winter. The intention behind that is to improve the quality of the soil, to mean that it is more moisture retentive and better able to cope with drought, so that come summer it's more resilient against going on fire in an effort to protect my house. But also it helps make the garden look nicer. The soil here is naturally very poor, so I'm doing everything I can to help the plants that I plant thrive, to create a better microclimate for my property, but also to have a nice garden that's attractive to all that view and utilise it. Now, it's getting on in the day and I've got one last chore that I want to try and at least start, if not finish, so I thought I might as well bring you along with me. So let's head over there now and see what we can achieve with what's left of the light today. We have arrived at our destination, which, as you can see, is at the bridge. And what I want to do here is just tidy up a pathway here. As you can see, there's a bit of fallen debris. This is all dead tea tree and regrowth tea tree and a few regrowth trees, which, if slightly clearer, lead here to this gate. And this is a gate which goes on to our neighbouring property and occasionally will does a little bit of work for our neighbours, and he sometimes comes this way if he's travelling on foot. So what I want to do is just try and make this a little bit more accessible. This is the same fence which is the boundary on the Mr. Darcy walk. So in essence, this is what the Mr. Darcy walk would look like if it wasn't managed and kept under control. And I hope eventually that this is what this will look like, what the Mr. Darcy walk looks like. I would like to re-establish a decent fire break on this side of the property too. But as you can see, there's a lot to do. So that might have to wait for a little. Here we are then. Gate's clearer, and if I turn around, it says the footpath. And if you come down here, you can quite clearly see the house and all the house infrastructure. So hopefully this will be enough to deter people from coming through this gate when they realise it's someone's house. Don't you worry, I can be scary at times, and I've frightened a few people away in my time here. Anyway, what I might do is ask Will to make a sign to go on that gate. We've got one at the top of our drive to alert people to the fact that they shouldn't be walking down it, and also to help people who come to the house to do work find us. But I might ask Will to make a wooden sign here. We made a key ring for our set of keys for his parents' beach house, and it could be quite a nice feature here, I think. A little bit more in keeping, less offensive than a private property sign, but just another little indicator that this is a gate that goes to someone's house. I'm going to leave it there for today. Let me grab my tool, and I'll come back tomorrow and fetch this stuff which I've generated, which amounts to this little pile here. And this pile here. I think I'm going to deal with that in an old school way, which is that I'm just going to drag it. I found that in the past that's a perfectly adequate way of dealing with some of this stuff. It's just to drag it, and it sort of latches onto itself. Anyway, so once I've moved those piles, the footpath is a little clearer. By way of a little bit of a spoiler, I've got my eye on a tool that I think will help me clear some of this other stuff. And I am currently in the process of saving for it. It's $500 or thereabouts, so that's about £250. In the scheme of things that I've bought for the property, it's not the most expensive thing. It's about average for this type of equipment. And once I have it, I hope that it'll mean that I can get through certain tasks a lot faster, which is why I'm keen to get my hands on it now, because I'm frantically trying to do as much prep as I can. Ready for summer, as I've mentioned, and probably will continue to mention until it sort of becomes a catchphrase. Anyway, so fingers crossed at some point, maybe within the next 4 weeks, I will have acquired this piece of equipment and we can go on an adventure together, seeing how useful it's going to be. Fingers crossed, very. I shall wend my way back home now, and I will catch up again with you later. Good morning. Weather's taken a bit of a turn for the worse today, so I've had to rearrange my plans and my schedule. You kind of have to respond to the weather. The trouble we've got today is very, very strong winds. and I was going to head up the fire break to continue work clearing the regrowth. But you wouldn't get me up there for $1 million, not in this wind. The trees are liable to lose bits of themselves or their entire selves in a dead calm, let alone in the winds we've got today. So I'm going to give the woods a bit of a miss today and turn my attention to a sort of couple of bitty little jobs on the property that need doing, so it's a good opportunity to crack through some stuff like that. I'll show you what I'm doing again. As always, it's not very interesting, but it'll be useful prep for summer. And there's one thing that I am really looking forward to. I noticed on my freshly darned sock, it is now also acquiring a hole in the toe, so I'm very excited about that. Means that I've got myself another little darning job to do later this afternoon. But first, I'm heading out into the windy wilds, the windy wet wilds of today. It's worse than it looks. Gusts come through and it's absolutely obnoxious. Anyway, so yes, I'm off out to go and do some more summer prep work. Here we are then. This is my intention. As you may or may not know, the only thing that grows well on our property is rocks, and I absolutely hate mowing this part of the lawn. So for context, that's the fire break I'm working on. This is the grevillea garden, and there's the house. Because even when I raise the cutting deck up to the highest height, I can often nick the stone. And I don't like the sound of it, I don't like the feel of it, but also I don't like the sparks that creates and the potential for starting a fire. So what I've wanted to do for a while is try to lever some of these taller rocks. So things like this, I'm liable to hit with the mower. Things like this is low enough to ground level that I'll probably just scoot over it. So I just want to eke out the prominent ones, like these. And then what I'm going to do is the other side of the library building there, where we put up the lean-to, we generated spare soil. So my intention is to then backfill these holes with soil that we generated from that. Hopefully this won't take me too long, and then I'll be much happier come summer when I'm mowing along here that I'm not going to damage the mower or set the grass on fire. Oh, that wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. Look at the size of this one. It's absolutely huge. I like this one though. Doesn't that look like a piece of dressed stone? If I was on an excavation, I wouldn't be sure that hadn't been made. It's just completely natural though. Anyway, I'm off to add these to my rubble pile, and then I will endeavour to backfill these holes. That's that all done. I'm very pleased with that actually, and there was enough spare soil for me to fill a hole in the Mr. Darcy walk that's been annoying me. So I try and dodge it every time I'm on my mower. It's one of those ones that could swallow up the wheel. So anyway, that's that all done. And I'm thinking I've possibly used up my my quota of vlog time for this week. I did waffle on quite a lot yesterday about creating that footpath down to the bridge, and so it's possibly one of the dullest vlogs I've ever made. Sorry about that. You saw me clear some trees and then you saw me fill some holes. Anyway, you know, I'm not gonna ham it up for you guys. This is what life is like here for me, and this is what probably a lot of our lives are like in reality, and that's what I'm all about. So I'll probably leave it here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my new moisture meter to go and see if any of the wood down on the wood pile is ready for processing, because I ain't going up in those woods. Sun's come out but the wind hasn't stopped. And then I'm going to drag the material I generated yesterday over to the bonfire. I've got my weekly fertilising to get done on the plants around the property and my watering of plants in the tubs. Got my sock to darn, so I've got 1 or 2 jobs in the pipeline which I'm going to be getting on with today. But I'll leave you here with me having just finished removing those rocks and filling the holes. Before I go, every week I mean to mention something to you and I keep forgetting, and I noticed I'd forgot again as I was editing, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to tell you. For those of you who maybe are missing Will, I know he was very, very popular amongst you guys, understandably. You might be interested to know, if you didn't know already, he's now got his own YouTube channel, and I thought I'd let you know because I know he'd really appreciate your support. It's very, very different from mine. He basically only makes shorts and he basically only tells jokes. So if you're missing Will and you're in the mood for corny, sometimes quite bad jokes, then I will link Will's channel below in the description box, which you'll know how to access now. And I strongly encourage you to go and check out Will's channel, like, comment and subscribe on his videos and to his channel. And I know that he'd really, really appreciate your support, and I'm sure that you will also enjoy it. So I hope you have excellent weekends, and I hope that I see you again next time. Bye.